Hello and welcome back to the Dahlia Society. I'm Kristen and today I'm going to talk to you about my favourite fabrics to sew with. I'm going to give you a little bit of a fabric haul that I promised. I'd had a little gift voucher to spend for Christmas and I've got a few things put aside and some plans. But I'm going to take you through a few of my favourite fabrics and why I love sewing with them. So if you like the sound of that, stay tuned. So today we're going to be talking about my favourite fabrics to sew with. Now everyone knows about my love affair with linen blends. We're going to talk a little bit about choosing linens. I'm going to tell you about my favourite fabrics and why I love sewing with them and why I usually choose certain fabrics over others. So talking about the linen cotton blends today, I've got a top on here that I've I probably had this for about a year now. This top is actually a Grainline pattern Hadley top. Now, I've had this for, probably 12 months and it breathes, it washes up beautifully. The fabric is from Spotlight. I think they still might have it available. It's the cotton linen print. And I love the fact that it's got the black background with the bright flowers. So you can tend to mix and match it back through your wardrobe for winter and for summer. Certain colour palettes you'll find can do you better for all year round. If I'm choosing a colour palette that I want to last me all year round, I tend to stick to the warmer or more autumnal colour palettes. When I tend to choose a cooler colour palette or more like pastels, I find that through winter, I don't always like to wear them because colour can also affect your mood and how warm or cold you feel. Certain colours can really affect you that way. It seems a bit strange because really it's the make of the fabric that really can keep you cool or warm, but it really does have something to do with the mood it puts you in. So I find personally that pastels, being the cooler colours, I like to wear a little bit more in summer. I don't wear a lot of pastels, but when I do, that's when I tend to wear them. And through winter, I like to pick a more bright autumnal colour palette. Also think about what you've got in your wardrobe as far as separates go. So if you have more that you can base with like a black or a navy or a denim, then you're going to pick more things with black backgrounds or navy backgrounds with bright colours that pop out. So you may find them easy to work back through your wardrobe. The Hadley pattern, when I first purchased, I thought it was going to be a very quick basic make. It actually had a lot more detail than what I thought because it has the hem facings. Now you'll find a lot of this boxier tank style. This one's actually a bit more short at the front and longer at the back. It curves at the back. With those inside facings, they give you a beautiful structured garment. And you'll find even with the neckline and the sleeve, when they have that inside facing, they just tend to keep their shape beautifully and they don't bag out or gape around the neckline. So don't look past a facing and don't be scared of trying to do something with a facing over a bias binding. It's really good to step up your techniques and to get a bit more practice in and put yourself out of your comfort zone a bit, and you'll tend to learn a few more skills that way. It's nice to mix up a bit of a V-neck here and there too because it gives you that little bit of shaping, which is quite flattering. Sometimes you have too much of a high around a neck. It's nice to show a little bit of skin and a little bit of shape just to mix up your wardrobe a bit more. When you hear people talk about the hand of a fabric, it usually means the way when you choose a fabric and you pick it up and you'll drape it, it's the fall of the fabric and the weight of it in your hand. So although we all are an online society, we're buying a lot online, if you're ever unsure of a fabric, you're looking at a composition of a fabric and you don't really know what it means, go to the store, look at the label and try and even take a screenshot of your phone of the composition. So, you might find something 70 to 30% mix and blend. And after a while, you'll get to remember what the best blend compositions are and what work well in your wardrobe as well. And a lot of things too, you got to remember some things wash up better than others if you're washing and wearing them a lot. I think we tend to overwash a lot of our garments and fabrics. We don't always need to wash every single garment every time we wear it. You'll get a lot more longevity out of your clothing if you air things out and look after them. Of course, if things get a little bit dirty and smelly or whatnot, of course you need to wash them. But a lot of the time that you'll be throwing things in the washing machine and the dryer and it breaks down and really decreases the longevity out of your garment. So don't always throw things in the wash if they don't need washing. Just a good airing out on a hanger sometimes can just keep your garment looking that little bit nicer, that little bit longer. In talking about this, especially with natural fibers, the more you wash them, the more they will break down and look more worn. And sometimes that can be a good thing because it can soften up a garment that's a little bit too rough or too structured. But sometimes it can actually wear away the garment a lot faster than what it needs to be. So you want to, looking at being a bit more eco-friendly, you want to get the longest possible wear and keep your things looking as new as possible. So don't always just throw them in the wash without thinking about them. And always wash on a delicate or gentle side. It's really important to look at your designer, whoever's designed the pattern. The recommended fabrics they have listed are there for a reason, and a lot of the time that's to do with the drape and ease of a garment. If you're going totally opposite to what the designer has recommended, you'll get a really different looking garment. Sometimes you'll get a huge range of exceptions there that you can mix a lot of different fabrics. Other times they'll be very specific with what they want. That's particularly for that reason, and usually that's for the drape. The benefits of a natural fiber is, number one, is that they breathe a lot more readily. They're a lot more comfortable to wear. They don't tend to stick and cling to you if the weather's hot. So you'll find that you won't sweat as much in a natural fiber like a cotton or a linen. The beauty of a natural fiber as well is that they are much easier to sew with. You'll find a lot of the times you don't even need to use that many pins because they'll just tend to stick together and they'll glide through the sewing machine beautifully. So you don't have any of that slippery feeling when you're sewing through a garment. And the stitching will always work out a lot neater on a more natural woven fiber. Another benefit for a natural woven fiber is that they absorb moisture better, and they also dye better. If you're into dyeing things as well, they take the dye a lot more readily than what they would if they were more polyester based. So in that way, they're a lot more absorbent. That's why you'll find a lot of active wear is more of a cotton heavier based than a polyester base, because they have wicking sometimes as well, and they'll take a lot more absorbency than what a polyester blend would. Again, with wool, a wool can hold up to 30 to 50% more weight in its absorbency than what a polyester or any other fabric would, and also it can insulate better than any other fabric. So you'll know yourself if you have something with a merino or a fine wool base, it will keep you so warm, but it'll be light as well. So you don't need to have layer and layer and layer of thick, bulky, where you might find that one merino wool garment will actually be light and keep you really warm. So that's why underwear and camisoles and things like that, a merino camisole or singlet is your best friend in wintertime. Another benefit of a natural fiber is that they press really well. You don't have to worry usually about scorching, although sometimes with a linen you can, it does say it'll take the highest setting on an iron, but be careful of scorch marks and that sort of thing. You always want to use a pressing cloth. So in looking at polyester and nylon-based garments, they are usually more affordable and more readily available. You'll find a lot more prints are available in the polyester and nylon-based, which can be fantastic for choosing a garment and you're wanting a bit more pattern. But yeah, as I say, they don't wear quite as well. They are a lot more heat. They'll keep a lot more heat in, which is not great for summertime. One downside to polyester and nylon fabrics is that you'll find they will peel a lot quicker. So the little balls that you'll find on the fabrics after wear and tear is almost like the fabric frying and the little balls creating there. It's the friction and the rubbing that almost like fry the fabric. So there's nothing worse than having a beautiful garment and you'll see those pills start popping up, and they're very hard to get rid of once they start to appear. Another downside is that they don't press quite as well. Yeah, you've got to really watch your iron settings and have it on a lower setting, because we've all been there. And I know back in the 80s, everyone had these polyester print shirts and that they would scorch terribly with an iron. And once that hole went in there, there was no coming back. So you don't have to worry about that with a cotton or a linen blend as much as a polyester. Another bonus to having a polyester or nylon blend is that they don't absorb stains as well as a cotton or a linen would. So yeah, they're quite easy. They'll wash and wear a lot better in that right, because they won't soak in the moisture and the stains won't stay in there as long. So there's always a few positives and negatives for different fabrics. Don't forget there's also stretch wovens, and you'll see things like a cotton sateen stretch that will have a minute amount of stretch in it. They're quite a little bit heavier in the cotton, but you'll feel a little bit more give in them. They're not as light to wear, so they can be great for like a shift dress or that kind of thing. I'm going to run you through a few of the different weaves of woven fabrics that you might not have heard about. A cotton twill. A twill is when two or more lengthwise stitches run over the underneath stitches. So they'll make almost like sort of a baskety weave, and it can go diagonal as well. So you'll get a little bit more movement and structure with a twill than what you would with just like a quilting cotton, that type of thing. So twill's actually really great for things like pants, pencil skirts. A bonus to sewing with a twill is that you do have a definite right and wrong side. So things like denims and gabardines will have a really definite right and wrong side with colours, so they're very easy to sew with that way. But they're usually the tougher, harder wearing garments and things like jeans as well. Satin weave fabric is when the top layers of the threads will be picking up a bit of the light, like they'll almost like glimmer and shine. So the way it's woven, it's there to pick up the light, and you'll get that satiny, shiny effect to the garment. The downside to that though is that they can sometimes snag and pull, and you'll know those sort of sateen, silky type cotton fabrics that it'll like catch, and you'll get little loose threads. And they're very, very hard to pull back through and disguise. Another type of woven is a nap style woven. Things like corduroys, velvets, velours, and that type of thing. They have a definite nap on top. The pile of the fabric's always more rich when you pull it up than what it is when you're pushing it down. It's almost like patting the fur on a dog. The undercoat's always that richer colour, and the top coat you'll see is more of a lighter, silkier colour. So you'll get that different richness in the coat, even though it's the same colour. So you've always got to be aware of the nap of the garment when sewing corduroy and velvet and that type of thing, that you always run your directions all the same way. Careful too when working with napped fabrics that pin marks do show, so be very careful. Try and use pattern weights over pins and clips and that sort of thing, because you will get indentations. And especially too when drying your clothes, if you're using a clothesline and pegs, be very careful with corduroy, because you can leave that little press mark in there. It's very hard to get out in the long run if you use it all the time. Different types of woven fabrics we're going to talk about. One is a bengaline. This sometimes refers to like a stretch woven fabric. So that can be anything like a cotton with a polyester and a rayon running through it as well, so that you can get quite a few different weights, but it's quite a sturdy fabric to wear. Another name you might have heard is a challis, which is almost like another word for a soft floaty fabric. So you might get a rayon challis or a crepe challis, and you'll always be looking at a more drapey variety of fabric there. Another one is a crepe de chine, and it almost speaks for itself. It's got that shiny fluidity to it, and the crepe being that lovely kind of almost has little fibery holes through it as well. No, it's a man-made fabric. It's a beautiful one to wear if you want that really nice drape to your garment. There's also silk dipione, which is a beautiful fabric, usually worn more in a formal wear variety. There's always been weddings in the past. You'll see the mother of the bride or groom would have a silk dipione suit, and that was very, very big in the 80s and 90s as well. So it's always more of a formal with that really heavier silk kind of feel to it, but lovely to wear as well. There's also gabardine, which is almost like a wool type of a feel, the weight wise, and it's quite a heavier structured, although it's light, it has that nice sturdy feel to it. So you'll get gabardine, or gab as people call it, pants and blazers. It's a very popular thing to sew up in that kind of thing. Another beautiful fabric to wear is a georgette, which is almost like a heavier chiffon. So normally it's always a little bit of opaque, like a little bit of see-through to it. So you usually need to underline it or wear something underneath it too. That's a beautiful drapey fabric to wear as well. One of my favorite fabrics to sew with is cotton lawn, and it's almost like a lightweight cotton, the lightest weight cotton you can really get, but without being see-through. So I think it's made a bit of a comeback. It's a little bit of an old-fashioned fabric, but it's a beautiful fabric to wear if you're making a dress or a skirt or even a blouse in summertime. My favourite lawns would have to be the Liberty of London lawns, and I've got a beautiful Liberty of London lawn ready to sew up, and I'll give you a sneak peek of that in a moment. Another very popular fabric back in the 80s and 90s that really hasn't made much of a comeback is a microfiber, and that would have to be, they tried to replicate a silky satiny type of fabric that felt like a natural fiber, but microfiber has the polyester content in it. It doesn't allow you to breathe very well, but it almost never wears out. It'll be the last fabric standing on the earth, I swear, because you'll find a lot of the microfiber things, they really invented them so they wouldn't crease and they just wash and wear consistently. But it's not the nicest fabric to wear, but it's great for if you want something practical. It almost has a little bit of a suede feel to it, which I think is what attracted people to the whole microfiber suede shirts in the 90s. It looked like silk, but it wasn't. And you could really tell that when you wore one, because you just heat up more than a pure silk blouse allows you to breathe. There's also flannel or flannelette, which is a lovely fabric to wear. Although it's a man-made usually fabric, you'll find a cotton mixed in there as well. So it'll always be a cotton polyester blend normally, but they are lovely to wear because they have that little bit of a mixture of both, and they are the coziest things to wear if you're wanting something warm in wintertime. And don't discount too that you can also make tops out of flannelette, not always a shirt or pajamas. Flannelette or flannel is a great thing to wear if you wanted a nice loose line top. And you can always put stretch binding around the neck as well for the ease of getting it off and on. So yeah, flannel can be quite adaptable fabric to use as well. Beautiful fabric you don't see very often these days is a seersucker, and it's a cotton fabric that has a little dimples and ridges in it, and it allows the fabric to breathe beautifully. You don't see it very often in clothing, but you'll find it in the fabric store. So that's another one to look out for. It's a beautiful, beautiful fabric to sew with as well. So I'm going to take you through a few of the fabrics that I love to sew with. Firstly, this one I'm about to sew up in a Zadie jumpsuit, and this is a Liberty of London cotton lawn, and you'll see it has a really good weighty structure to it, more so than what a voile would, but it has a very similar weight to a voile, but you'll get a lot more body out of the fabric, and it's great for wearing like for culottes and skirts and that type of thing as well. So a beautiful fabric to sew with. It just it sews up wonderfully and it sticks together really nicely, so, and it presses well as well. So that's going to be my next project, is my Zadie jumpsuit. Now I'm going to move on to the fabrics that I bought with my voucher. I've got a few bits and pieces here for myself, a couple of things that my daughter Phoebe has picked out for her to do some sewing projects with as well. The first one I've got for myself is a beautiful rayon blend here, and this is from Spotlight. It's got a gorgeous little dainty autumnal floral print, and I'm thinking a dress. I was actually thinking about doing the Montana dress by Stylark in this. I just thought it would be a beautiful floaty type of dress to wear. Give you a little bit of a close-up look at that. And I don't have a lot of white or cream background things, so I think this will be a really nice type of thing to wear for summer, for looking a bit cooler, feeling a bit cooler. Got 2.8 meters of that, so I think it's just enough to make that maxi style dress from Stylark that I picked up. I have been looking at this for a while, and it's a really tiny crinkle check that comes in a navy and white check as well, and I just thought the rusty orangey color would be perfect in my wardrobe. Okay, that is 2.5 meters of that one as well. So I'm thinking another dress for summer would be lovely in this one as well. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that yet, but I'm really liking the colour tones in that one. Now, this is a colour I've been looking at for quite a while, and although I don't sew a lot of pastel colours, I like the tone of this. It's almost between a mauve and a dusty pink. Now, this is almost like a cotton linen blend slub, and I think this would work perfectly in the lacy dress that I had for the Stylark patterns that I'd bought. Last month you got a free pattern. I think it was the Montana with every purchase. Every month they have a free pattern that they'll give you when you purchase one of their patterns. So don't forget to look up that. And I think they still have their 30% discount for their Boxing Day sale still running as well. So that I think will make a beautiful dress for summer. Just think the colour is gorgeous in that. Yeah, it's got quite a lot of nice body to it, so you don't want anything that needs too much drape. Well, this particular dress is like a knee-length dress and more of a grown-on sleeve, so I think it'll lend to the pattern really nicely. Another new fabric I've seen a lot in Spotlight just lately is a rayon crepe, which is a crinkle rayon crepe, and I really love the feel of it. It's very transparent, which I'll need like a slip underneath. But I just love the weight and the feel of it. It's just the most drapey, cool looking fabric. And I'm thinking a little blouse might look really pretty in that. And just liking that the cool, as I say, the more of the ivory and cream colorway for summer. Even some type of a dress over a slip might look really pretty in that. So it's just nice to have some basics as far as colorway in your wardrobe when you have a lot of prints. Now, as I talked before, my daughter wants to get into making her own clothing, and she's just picking out some fabrics. She has a very different, distinct style from me, which is great because I think everyone needs to be sewing their own style, not getting their mother to force what they like onto them. So she's 23, so she likes her own style. And I think that's great for sewing. It can really mean that you can create your own wardrobe to suit yourself. So she's thinking about, this is the Gertie range that's in Spotlight at the moment. Gertie's got her own, as I say, her own pattern range and now her own fabric range in Spotlight. So I just think this is gorgeous. She chose this almost like a piratey skull print, like a navy print. And it's in the beautiful claret red with the black etching, almost like tattoo looking etching on it. So that one I think she's thinking of doing in a Pippi Pinafore by Jennifer Lauren Patterns. And I think that would be great for an all year round type of garment to wear. You can layer it for winter and have it nice and cool over a t-shirt for summertime. And the other Gertie fabric she chose was, this is another matching fabric in the whole series that Gertie had. That's a beautiful mermaid and shark print in like a really nice teal blue. And I just think that claret red just brings it out beautifully. And that one I think she's thinking of doing the Helen's Closet Donovan skirt because she wants to have that straight line skirt with the elastic waist, so with a little bit of drape to it. So it's a nice cotton blend fabric there. There's a tiniest bit of stretch in it, but yeah, she's got quite a lot of navy inspired prints, sailor inspired prints there at the moment. So yeah, Gertie's also got that beautiful vintage range of fabrics. If you're looking at making anything that vintage inspired, where she's got a beautiful Venice scene one as well, which I've had my eye on for quite a while, but I don't really know if I would wear it as much as I'm in love with the fabric. It's probably not something I'd have in my wardrobe anymore to wear, even though I lust after certain fabrics. I know I probably wouldn't get the wear out of them. But if you're interested in that type of thing, yeah, head into Spotlight and look at her range. So some new patterns I've picked up just this week. My mum and I are both making the Cielo by Closet Case Patterns. I think she's making the dress and I'll probably be making a top. And that's a great tried and tested pattern. A lot of people have been very happy with that. I've got the Pietra Pants pattern I've yet to make. That's on the list as well. And that was her Rome collection last season, which was proved to be very popular. I have just completed making some Miller shorts by Seamwork Patterns, a paper bag waist short. They are so comfortable. I will be definitely making more of those. I made them in a Rayon crinkle cotton, but they were huge. I think I made a size 16 because I just hadn't worn or made shorts for quite a long time. Being the paper bag waist, I didn't want them to be too fitted. But I'll definitely go down to a 14 next time because there's just so much ease in them with the drawstring waist. But they came up together really quickly. And I just love the fact that shorts is an all age kind of thing to wear as well. It's not just for young people. I think if you get the right design, the right kind of fit on you that you're happy with, you can make them look really smart as well, depending on what you wear with them. The last two patterns I think I've already shown you last time is the lacy dress from Stylark. And that's the one I'm making in the pink linen blend. So I'm onto that very shortly. And the Montana midi dress as well. That would be definitely in the Rayon, the autumnal floral, and the checked rust colorway that I bought from Spotlight as well. I think that'll come up beautifully in that as well. So they're my latest patterns on standby ready to go. I'm in the middle of sewing up this Zadie jumpsuit, which I'm really excited about because I've been talking about it for quite a while. And although I had a linen fabric picked out to make it up with, I decided to go with a lawn fabric first, just because I wanted something a little bit more cooler and drapier to try on it first. So thank you for bearing with me today and listening to all of that. I hope you got a little bit of information out of that. And yeah, as I say, my favorite wovens are always a cotton linen blend and rayons to sew with in wovens. Polyester would always be a crepe I'd be looking at first. A satin back crepe's beautiful as well. But they're really my favorite woven fabrics to sew with that I always go to first. If I'm ever in Spotlight or in Craft, I usually head straight for the rayon viscose section first because I tend to like the drape and the weight and the feel of rayons over anything else that's in a print. If I'm looking at a plain, I'd always look at the linen cotton blends or the lyocell linen blends. So they're just my favorite go-to fabrics. Thanks for staying tuned, and I will be back next week. Hopefully my Zadie jumpsuit will be on the go, so we will see you very shortly. Bye for now.